Hey, friends, welcome to Listen Up, Nerds, the always nerdy, sometimes podcast about the streaming wars, movie theater anxiety, and Star Wars fans. I say that because I'm scared. My name is Jermaine Woods, aka JV. I am joined by our co host, co founder of Tales of the Forgotten Fiction Network, voice actor and director extraordinaire, Crystal Storm. What up, Crystal?
What up? What up? Hype, ready to be here.
And we've talked about we've been talking around this because we're very just excited about this topic because we're all movie nerds and streaming nerds, and we're joined. You have the honor of being our first guest, our first ever guest. We are joined by a man who is a singer-songwriter, a screenwriter, and a fly fishing enthusiast. Our first guest ever, Chase Ramsey.
Thank you. Thank you.
We need that sound.
Air horns.
So, guys, before we jump into streaming and Agatha and Acolyte, what has been going on with you guys? What have you been into? What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you playing?
I'm just catching up on the new Daredevil. Daredevil Born Again. I think I'm on the fourth episode. So I'm enjoying that so far.
Nice.
That's what's up.
It gets last night's episode fire.
Okay.
That was the first episode of the season where I'd be like, yo, this is that shit that we've been looking for.
Yeah, I'm just to the part where Punisher's showing up, and I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, this is what I love. Like,
shout out to Barenthal.
Oh yeah,
one of the legends.
He played Punisher so good in that Netflix series. So I haven't watched it. I haven't watched anything. I'm just waiting for it because I fucking want to binge it. I'm so tired of this week to week shit. I'm spoiled. I just want to binge it. So I'm just like staying away, and then
that's why I've been waiting. I just started. Yeah, I was like,
how many episodes
I can't do another week.
Are we gonna get like 8?
I believe it's 10.
Oh shit!
So 10, and then they've either already filmed season 2 or they are going to be wrapping season 2 shortly, which will come out next year.
2 seasons and 10 episodes? Shit.
Yeah. Originally, they were going to do like a 22 episode run.
Yeah.
Like a traditional TV run. And then they decided to split it up. I guess the story kind of called for like a pause between the 2 seasons.
I got it. Okay.
I won't share where I think it's going because some of that comes from comics. But if it's going where I think it's going, I think they have it dialed in finally.
Okay.
And if it's doing the storyline that I think it's doing, I think it's going to be really exciting.
Okay. So it'll be interesting to see if you were right. You will have to come back and talk about it later.
Yeah, I heard originally they were going to do like a first season of 18 episodes and like 30-minute episodes, which sounds horrible to me.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need shorter Marvel stuff. Like,
it was basically going to be like a legal case of the week. And they said you didn't see Daredevil like in the suit in the first 6 episodes of that. And so when that got back to Disney, and we'll talk about this as part of the streaming, they were like, put on the suit.
Yeah.
Like,
that is the one thing about the Netflix series. They did drag that shit out for like mad long before he put the suit on. But we did get a long ass season. So like I felt like in the payoff, I thought the payoff was worth it when he finally did put the suit on. But I didn't read the comics. So.
Yeah. The third Netflix season, I didn't mind because at least Bullseye was wearing the suit some. So it's like at least we got to see the suit. But
the 3rd season of Daredevil, I could talk about forever.
I just watched the 3rd season for the first time and I loved it a lot. Like I stopped watching it when everything got canceled on Netflix back in the day. Fair. I just was like, I'm not going to finish it. And so I finally did. And season 3 was really great. I liked Bullseye a lot more than I thought I was going to. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Last night's episode is a great Bullseye episode.
Oh,
That's all I'll say.
okay. Well, eventually we're gonna have to talk about Daredevil then, because like Daredevil season 3 has some of my favorite cinematic moments and storytelling moments, overall in it. Like I could just love on that for fucking ever. It's so good.
Yeah, great show. Crystal, what have you been up to? What's going on?
We working on that audio drama, dog. We finally got a scene done for Vampire Beginnings episode 7 that we're gonna drop for our membership and spoil the hell out of them with like 5 minutes, so they can just be like, "What the fuck, Chris?" And I'll be like, "Now you gotta wait for the fucking hour-long episode because it's not finished."
Awesome.
And we're gonna do that for them. And I'm starting a podcast for if you're a fucking 1980 Gen X eldest daughter and you're breaking generational curses, come sit by me. We're gonna talk about that shit, and then I'm just hanging out with these guys. And I think me and Pixel we just did a rewatch of the Hunger Games, which was fun.
Nice.
Which was fun. Yeah.
Does it still hold up?
Absolutely. I feel like it's, you know what it is? Unfortunately, it's like really relevant right now.
Yeah.
We're literally just kind of sitting there going,
It feels like, wait a minute. Like, are we in? Are we like the prequel to Panem?
I think I feel like we are. Like I feel like we are. Like it felt. I mean, I kind of say this all. Like you wonder. We're not gonna get political, but you just wonder when this particular country is gonna have its like, I'm done moment. And we haven't. I'm not calling for violence. I'm just saying I'm waiting for the moment where everybody goes, we're not doing this anymore. And I don't think we're there yet. And
it feels like a dystopia. Like we are in a dystopia.
We are,
and it feels like
in a dystopia.
The before times where everybody was like.
I feel like historians and like science fiction authors and just anybody who consumes that type of literature is just sitting here going, what are we doing? Like, what is going on?
All the signs are there, and I'm like, wait a minute, man. This is supposed to only be in movies.
Right.
Why is it took Wednesday?
75 years of kids just getting murdered every year for them to get a clue. So I'm just like, can we skip that part? Can we go right to the revolution? Can we maybe?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. So
because I don't want to live through some sort of crazy apocalypse. You know, I want to be in precedented times.
Yeah,
I want to have.
God, I want to be so fucking bored.
It makes me think of the movie Leave This World Behind. Like that movie felt way too real and way too scary because, like you guys are saying, we're living in that. Like that's our reality.
Not it's a scary time, guys, but we're gonna help you navigate it. Because we're going to talk about something that can be a little bit scary if you're a movie fan, which is the state of streaming and how it's affecting movies. What do we think about it? What are some of the stuff we love about streaming? What's the stuff we don't like? What are some of the shows that we recommend to people? And how is it going to affect the future? Because I think we're kind of seeing it. There's a movie coming out this weekend on Netflix that I think is a prime example of something that would have been in the theater that I want to talk about. But before we get to that, Acolyte, Agatha, 2 streaming shows, 2 very beloved universes. One seemed to work for its fan base. One did not. Agatha seemed to be something that people in Marvel enjoyed generally. Acolyte seemed to be more than divisive.
Yeah.
It really, at least from online fervor and talking and incels, it really seemed like nobody was liking it. I think this is a really good example of some of the things we're going to be talking about with streaming, kind of how we got these 2 shows to begin with.
Right.
What Disney decided to do with Star Wars and Marvel. So, guys, I want to get your opinions on each of the shows. On Agatha, what did you like about it? Why did Agatha work so well for you?
Chase, you're the guest here. You want to go first? Go ahead. Give us your thoughts.
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna
So I
zoom in on
will.
you and everything. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go. I'm ready for my close up. So a little background. I definitely am a bigger Star Wars fan than I am Marvel fan. That being said, I've seen all the Marvel things and enjoyed Agatha all along with the rest of the world. Uh, but I think what worked for me was kind of the campiness of it. I loved Catherine Hahn in WandaVision as Agatha, so I was very excited for the series, and I loved the kind of same thing they did, which each episode kind of leans into a different thing stylistically. I thought that was really fun, and yeah, I would just say the overall fun campiness, witchy hocus pocus meets Marvel vibes. I was just here for that.
Nice.
100%.
And Crystal, what about you? Because I know you love this joint.
I do, and I loved Agatha for a couple of reasons. I'm gonna toot my own horn here. It's not just because I got to play her in an official Marvel project. So go check out Marvel Move, the app. I actually got to be Agatha, which is fucking dope.
Awesome.
Yeah, I get to say that a lot, which is fucking awesome. But I loved Agatha all along because it was a really smartly written show. I thought that it focused on, and I think we're going to get into this a little bit too when we talk about the Acolyte, it focused on the right mystery. It felt fun. It didn't shy away from being like super gay and like super witchy or anything like that. The things that apparently Star Wars fans have like a huge problem with, but Marvel fans are just like, we're down, we're in it, we're ready for it. So, but I just think when we look at like the Marvel shows, I think that Agatha all along just fits right in there. And I know that, you know, especially this panel, we have like different opinions on like Moonlight or whatever. But like if we just compare it right up to WandaVision, while I think WandaVision was quote unquote the better show, I think Agatha all along is fucking great. Like it's just really solid if you just take it out of like Marvel and you just look at a TV show. And just how smartly it was written and the way that they interweave plot lines and the witch's story and that sort of thing. Yeah. And just Agatha's journey throughout all of that. It's just good TV. And it felt like they knew what they wanted to do with it. And it felt like it almost felt like they gave Agatha the freedom to tell the story that it wanted to tell. And I don't know if that's because, and I don't know if that's because that there was, you guys know that I love like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I'm not in the comics. So I don't know if there was an Agatha comic that this storyline kind of followed. So there was like precedent for it. So I don't know if that was kind of an easier time for Marvel in that there was already the storyline and they're just kind of borrowing pieces from that. But it was just a really good fucking show. It just really was. And it's one of those kind of like shows where you can go back and watch it again after you find some stuff out and then you rewatch it, you know, and then you're like, oh damn, you know, and it's got that rewatchability, which is really nice, kind of like Fringe does, where you're like rewatching Fringe episodes to see all the little spoilers they put everywhere. So it's just good TV. Agatha all along was just good TV that they let be good TV.
Yeah, I agree. Oscar, shout out to my homeboy Oscar who's watching, said it was fun escapism for him. I feel the same. I just love the fact that they leaned into the campiness. Jack Schaefer, the showrunner, just decided, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Like one of my favorite parts of the show is literally when they cut a hole in the background.
Yeah,
like a literal hole in the background.
That was fucking just great.
So cool and silly and campy, but just a fun idea. And I think this is the show to me more so than any other show except WandaVision that understood what it needed to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
It's a show that is probably going to be consequential, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not watching it with that expectation.
Right.
The show can end up being very consequential within the movies, but it's also possible that it has no bearing on those, and it's still a piece of Marvel entertainment that you want to watch that doesn't feel like homework. That was probably my favorite thing about it. To Oscar's point, the escapism, part of the escapism is I don't feel like I have to watch this to know what's happening in the next movie. Like this thing doesn't exist to just be here as like another cog in the wheel to get us to the next point. And obviously Catherine Hahn is incredible. The whole cast, like
So
Patty
good.
LuPone is
so
just
fucking
is
good.
just great. Shazir Samata is like the whole cast. The whole
Yeah.
cast was outstanding, and you could just tell they were having fun. And that is always the big thing I come back to with these comic book movies. Is the first thing I want to do is have fun.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell whatever story that you want to tell, but ultimately, when you're talking about guys in robot suits fighting alongside guys with American shields that seem to defy the laws of physics, that needs to be fun. And Agatha was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and I think too, going back to how excellently cast it was, the specific casting decisions they made, I think, brought in a lot of the gay audience that had interest in those performers that wouldn't have
Yeah.
maybe otherwise tuned into a Marvel project. Specifically talking about my partner who watched Agatha and hasn't seen any Marvel anything. And he absolutely loved it and knows every word to down the witch's road. So
Who doesn't? Who is not rocking that
Right,
tune
good.
right now? Come on. Didn't it like peak? Wasn't it like number one on like Spotify for like a minute too? Like didn't it hit that?
I think it was. Yeah.
The TV world of WandaVision produces bops.
100%.
This is a fact.
This is absolutely
Yeah.
fact. This is absolutely.
And I guess that's a question I have, and I don't know if this is the right time to ask it, but my question would be, without Catherine Hahn's excellent breakout performance in WandaVision, would Marvel have even done Agatha? Like, was Agatha part of their plans at all, or was it because of how great Catherine Hahn was?
I don't think they would have done it.
Mhm.
Agatha is a character in the comics that does have a pivotal role in terms of what she means to the Scarlet Witch, what she means to Vision, what she means to their children. But it's not like, I'm trying to think of what to compare it to. It's not like Falcon, where like Falcon has his own journey and then becomes Captain America and it becomes something bigger. Agatha has parts to play, but she's just not a very big figure inside of Marvel. And so I think they caught lightning in a bottle. Like, one, because WandaVision was just
So
a
good.
great show. Like, Marvel or not, that show just works so well. But Catherine Hahn is just one of the most likable performers.
Ate it up.
They're and she can pretty much do anything.
She can do
Like,
anything. That first episode of Agatha, where she's literally just Kate Winslet and Mayor of Easttown, like that.
Right.
That was phenomenal. I was like, she can do Kate Winslet jobs. Like, okay, like
Right.
Yeah, she's wonderful, and so I think that was one where they were like, oh, okay, we can make this, and we'll talk about it a little bit more because I want to get to the Acolyte. But I think one of the other things that Marvel saw too was like, oh, this doesn't have to be a $300 million show, right? We can spend the money on a quality cast,
Yes.
have an actual showrunner, and let them do their thing, and just let them tell the story that they want to tell. And they did some things like not having Wanda in it,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was important because you didn't have the weight of such an important character in the MCU. The ramifications of what happened and what she did were felt, but she wasn't there, and there was no like, is Mephisto coming?
Right.
There was none of that, which by the way is our fault as
Mm-hmm.
fans. That is not something WandaVision did, but they managed to tell this story, and we'll talk about it. Wasn't really seen by a whole bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
In neither was the Acolyte,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, Catherine Hahn absolutely earned that show.
Yeah.
I think it's run. So in the same vein, talk about Acolyte, which is something that we've talked about before, Crystal.
Yeah.
Something that you and I have talked about
Yep.
before, Chase. I just want to give Acolyte its flowers.
Oh yeah.
This is not a perfect show.
Mm-mm.
I don't think it rises to the level of Agatha, certainly not to the level of WandaVision, or maybe even the first couple of seasons of Mandalorian. But I think it's good. It's not the greatest show in the world, but I think it's pretty good. Where do you guys fall on it? What was your initial impressions of Acolyte? And let's talk about, before we talk about some of the problems and generally speaking, the MCU fans and the Star Wars fans, and maybe why one worked and one didn't. Tell me, what did you like about the Acolyte?
So for me, I'm gonna get death threats, but I actually prefer the Acolyte over Agatha.
Let's go,
but
Chase. Let's go.
Shots fired. But that might speak to my personal taste of liking Star Wars more than Marvel in general. But while the Acolyte certainly had its flaws, I'd like, for me, what resonated was the action. The action sequences were probably the best we've gotten in any Star Wars live action media. Like definitely the best combat we've gotten since the prequels, hands down.
Hands down.
But aside from that, I really loved the kind of mystery genre in the Star Wars setting. I thought that was really intriguing, and I really liked exploring a new era that kind of hasn't been touched. So I thought that maybe that would be kind of similar in the vein of Agatha, like it could attract people who didn't really need to know as much, because it was a brand new story with brand new characters. So I liked the drama of the, not technically twins, but the two sisters who are virgins in the Force, May and Osha. I loved their connection and the just the drama between them. It's the series that felt most like when I was a kid and playing with my Star Wars action figures. Like the Acolyte is something I would have done like it with my toys, like 100%. Like I just loved it. Like I loved seeing all the different Jedi, all the different colored lightsabers. I thought Manny Jacinto was absolutely fantastic as Kimir. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but I thought he was great as the villain.
So good.
When the scene where he's literally trying to seduce her with the dark side, I was like, oh, there has been an awakening.
The Force awakened in
The Force awoken in me.
Hi-oh.
Heyo.
But yeah, I just loved it. I loved the very complex characters of these Jedi who are struggling with grief and honor and honesty, and it really worked for me. we're talking about the positive things. I do have criticisms as well, but this was the thing that like I really loved, and I really hurt to see kind of the reaction as far as the review bombing. Like this is the first thing that kind of almost felt personal to me. I don't know why, but like especially when I found out that Disney canceled it, that really like I don't know, that really depressed me almost for like a week because I was like,
me too, Chase.
I was really vibing with this story and with these characters.
Yes.
Like I wanted more of this. So that's me. That's my take.
Crystal.
So, and we have
give Acolyte some love.
I'm gonna give Acolyte some love, and I'm gonna say off the top, because I too am a huge Star Wars fan, and anybody who knows that knows. Go listen to Legacy of Star Wars audio drama. Don't fucking at me about my Star Wars fandom. But Star Wars as a whole, like the Star Wars cinematic universe, has never put out I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. They have never put out a Black Panther. They have never put out a WandaVision. They have never put out a Shang-Chi. I don't think they've ever put out a Winter Soldier, right? So if we're just comparing quality of the cinematic universe, not taking the books or any of that kind of stuff, if we're quality of the cinematic universe, Marvel is 1,000 light years ahead of Star Wars. So Star Wars fans should have an expectation of like some just fun, campy shit. We are the Stormtroopers can't hit shit. We are it's a bigger fucking Death Star. Like that is what we are. Like that is what fucking Star Wars is, right? So this show, The Acolyte, was so wonderful because one, we finally got out of the fucking Luke Skywalker era. Thank fuck. Finally, right? We're exploring a new era of Star Wars with new characters, and we're finally getting to see that the Jedi are not good guys. They're not, y'all. All y'all people that are riding that, whatever, shut up. The Jedi have never been good guys. The Jedi are the ops, y'all. They are, and just like there are good people within the Jedi Order, but as an order, they're not the fucking good guys. So it was so awesome to see Soul's journey through this, and shout out to that actor who fucking killed it. Had so many great scenes. So it was wonderful to see that story and that juxtaposition, but it was also really nice to see the dark side be sexy. To see there be some nuance to the dark side. Right, an adult. It was an adult Star Wars story, and that's what it felt like. Like, George Lucas flat out said he made his movies for kids. That's fine. No beef with that. But then we finally get this more adult Star Wars take that felt very much in the Star Wars universe. Y'all, he headbutted a lightsaber. Shut up. What are we talking about? That man looked so good in dirt. I thought it was a tattoo. That's really what y'all mad about. Y'all mad the stranger was so sexy. That's why everybody was review bombing that shit. That man had dirt on his arm, and me and my partner both was like, is that a tattoo? That's how hot this man was. Straight up, like, actually seducing somebody to the dark side. Like, we was ready for it. We were like, yas. Are they gonna do this on Disney? Like, is we gonna get this on a Disney show? Like, what?
Is Star Wars gonna fuck?
Right? Like, what?
Well, yeah, no, that whole scene, I think my mouth was agape. Like, I was like, is this, we're getting, like, this is happening? Right. I was living for that.
The Acolyte dared to do something different. And it wasn't perfect, but it got punished for that. It got punished for a lot of things. It got punished for having such a diverse cast. And then it got punished for daring to call the Jedi not the good guys. And then it got punished again for daring to tell a story that did not revolve around fucking the Star Wars Jesus of Luke fucking Skywalker, who I like, by the way. I got no beef with Luke. I think Luke's great. I just think it's a big fucking universe. I think there are so 100%. Many more stories to tell.
And just like, you were saying with the Marvel universe, how they're light years ahead as far as like exploring different kind of subgenres within the comic book and superhero genre. My question is, why can't Star Wars do that? It's just as big.
Play with genre more.
It's just as big of a universe. And I was reading an article of the writer of Andor. Is it Tony Gilroy?
Yeah.
Tony Gilroy. when he was pitching Andor, you know, he pitched it as kind of this more political conspiracy thriller type,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what Andor is. And I'd say maybe that's the closest thing to Star Wars is like Winter Soldier, maybe
Right.
is like would be Andor, and it worked, and it was critically hailed. And I know not ever like some people thought it was boring, but I mean I personally loved it. But when I was reading back to the Tony Gilroy interview I was reading, he talked about in his pitch meeting, he asked Catherine Kennedy, why can't Star Wars do a sitcom? You know, why can't Star Wars do all these other things? And even, you know, we saw with Skeleton Crew, they kind of leaned more into the 80s nostalgia, pirate adventure feel, and it was adjacent to the original, but it was slightly different, a slightly different vibe, but it still worked. And so I like, to me, you know, Disney canceling that is kind of like a setback, you know. It's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
why can't we do something different? This is a huge universe. Why can't there be these other Force users that don't call it the Force? They call it the thread, I think. And why can't that happen? Like in the real world, there's all these like sub religions of all these different religions and interpretations of texts. Like why wouldn't it be the same way with the Force?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. Um, you know, I've talked to both of you separately about the Acolyte as it was airing. I think it has its issues. There's some pacing issues.
100%.
That's the probably my biggest critique of it is some of the pacing issues. And literally I think it's just like if you move some episodes around and you maybe put some episodes together, you could take those same episodes and make something that's paced out a little better.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, as you guys know, and for anybody that's watching, I am like a fake Star Wars fan,
Never.
as it's been said to me. I like Star Wars. It is not it's like not my bedrock of nerdom or fandom, but I've always really enjoyed it as a kid, and for me the Acolyte was a nice change of pace because I feel like you can have something like the Acolyte that is more adult, and then you could still have really fun stuff
Mm-hmm.
with Star Wars that is for kids because they should have their own stuff too. Um, and I thought the Acolyte just did a really good job, like you said, the sexiness of Daddy Manny. Oh, the sexiness of Manny Jacinto and using seduction
Mm-hmm.
as a tool, which we haven't seen, and it kind of would make sense that a Sith would use that as a tool, right? That they'd be really good at it. Having that in there, having the idea that the Jedi Order is not all it's cracked up to be. That there is abuse within that order. There are mistakes made within that order that cost people lives. I thought that was just a really mature take. And thank you to Aggravated Damage for being in the chat. You asked, because we're going to get there, how are these two shows in competition? And for us, they are not. But they are one for part of our conversation, part of the overall streaming discourse. And not just these shows in particular, but the Star Wars universe, the Marvel universe, how that's been handled with Disney, and also maybe a deeper conversation that we're going to have is the fandoms and how they treated the shows. Now, just for uh, just for some information, Disney's top 10 shows of 2024, neither of them were a Marvel show. or Star Wars show.
Mm.
Its top streaming show was Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
Not
Fun
surprised.
show.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay.
And I think when I saw that, I was a little bit surprised. Uh, Obviously, people like the show. I think probably a lot of kids are watching it as well. But these are not the top show on Disney. Which is we're going to talk about a little bit later what Star Wars and Marvel maybe should do with those shows and maybe what streaming can look like along with movie theaters. But as far as the fan reception, and I'll ask you guys this, for me, the stuff that I saw on Agatha primarily was positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sort of shocked at that. Right? This is a story that centers around an out gay teen.
Mm-hmm.
This is a story that centers around a lesbian couple.
Mm-hmm.
Centers around women.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't hear a lot of negativity about that, which was made my heart glad. Because so often those are things that people talk about in the context of a show that have nothing to do with the show itself. But in this case, in Agatha's case, and I think overall what I've seen with a lot of Marvel, not to say it's not there, because we have examples, Captain Marvel, the Marvels, even Black Panther. There are those people out there, but I think the fan base in general, without even going into whether they have issues with people of color, the LGBTQIA community, or women, seem to be more positive about the Marvel shows and movies in general. And what I noticed with the Acolyte is before it even came out, it was being slandered. And again, I want to make it clear, we're not just talking about the stuff that obviously we see as people of color, gay folks, women, that we see. We know that's there. But it seemed like, just from the storytelling perspective, when people saw that trailer, it was that, but it was also like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And the fan base seemed to almost instantly hate it. And I've kind of noticed that as a trend. Now, here's my take. My take on why one worked for their fans and one didn't is simply because Star Wars fans refuse to evolve. They refuse to kind of acknowledge anything that's not within the Skywalker saga, which we all love and grew up on. But it seemed like they were not willing to even give Acolyte a chance, even though Chase, when we would talk about it at work, I would ask Chase these questions like, who's this guy in the cave? Because I don't know who this guy in the cave is. Chase would tell me, well, he's this guy. He's this Darth Plagueis guy, and this guy means a lot because you remember. And so Chase would, kind of fill me in, and I'd be like, oh, that's a big deal. This Darth Plagueis guy seems like very important. And I remember hearing his name, and it seemed like even stuff like that wasn't something that Star Wars fans wanted. Guys, what's the deal with Star Wars? And what are the differences you see between how the fans interact with it? And now we're not just talking about the Acolyte or Agatha, but in general, how the fans react to the movies, whether it's the prequel trilogy or the newest trilogy we just got, the TV shows, compared to how some of the Marvel fans interact with those properties. Crystal, what do you kind of think is the big thing there?
I think that the loudest of the Star Wars fans are cis white men who have a problem with not seeing themselves reflected in an IP that they think they own. And I think it's ridiculous how loud they are, and I also think that they're just fucking ridiculous in general, mostly because like we all remember when the prequels came out, everybody was like, George Lucas ruined my fucking childhood, right? We all remember that, because my god, the crying when the prequels came out. And listen, we all know the prequels aren't great, okay? Even though I thought Revenge of the Sith was passable, I don't hate the prequels as much as I hate The Last Jedi. Fuck, hate that movie.
Whoa.
I know. Fucking hate that movie. And listen, I don't hate that movie for the reason that the little incel boys hate it, with the character assassination of Luke Skywalker. That's not my beef with The Last Jedi. We can do a whole other conversation about why I think The Last Jedi, I'm just like, throw that shit out the fucking window. But the problem that Star Wars fans, the loudest among them, seem to have is this very gatekeepy attitude and these short memories. Like, nobody was fucking with Hayden Christensen. Everybody hated him. And now, 20 years later, he finally gets his flowers, which I'm so happy for, because he did a phenomenal job. And my God, he deserved it, right? Darth Vader came out in Obi-Wan, and now everybody loves Hayden again. He comes back in Ahsoka. Everybody loves Hayden. Sure, okay. You know, and now when Kathleen Kennedy took over and they dared to put a black guy and a woman and gave her a fucking lightsaber like Mara Jade didn't fucking exist, they lost their minds, and now Kathleen Kennedy is ruining Star Wars, and there's no more Star Wars. And bring back George Lucas. George Lucas sold that shit because y'all was talking shit to him. He was done with y'all. Now all of a sudden everybody like George Lucas is the best, Hayden Christensen's the best. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. I'm so tired of Star Wars incel fans.
You weren't outside. You weren't outside celebrating them.
I'm so done with the loud ass fan base, because what I also saw when it regards to the Acolyte too is, before I fucked off from Twitter, is people were like, I watched the Acolyte, it's not that bad. I watched the Acolyte, it's not that bad. And then the little fucking haters would like dogpile these tweets like, it's the worst. It's always the writing's bad, but nobody knows how to. It's always like shitty writing, but nobody can actually tell you like why the writing is shitty. It's just bad. Right. But they can't elaborate in any intellectual way about why the writing is bad.
For any amateur critic is to be like, the writing.
Right.
Then you're like, what about the writing, though?
Right. It's just bad.
Right. What about it? Yeah.
Stop. You follow your thought. Don't be intellectually lazy. Give it a real critique, you know. So I just, for whatever reason, this Star Wars fandom is, they think they're a boys club, and they think that Jedi are amazing. It's only for white guys, and that's it. And that's like, and that's literally, and that's like, period, end of sentence. That's what the loudest of the Star Wars fandom thinks. And I think that Disney and we have to stop catering to them. And when they canceled the Acolyte, it very much felt like they were catering to that, like the rest of us aren't here ready to consume new Star Wars content. And that felt like a complete slap in the face to those of us who actually know about the Star Wars universe, the High Republic, the nuances of the Jedi, how diverse this universe actually is and deserves to be. So I'm over Star Wars fucking fans. Just so over them.
Yeah, I'm with you too, Crystal. And like I said earlier, it stung when Disney canceled the Acolyte, because it felt like the loudest voice in the room, you know, getting what they wanted. And like you said, I was really engaged with that story. I was really looking forward to what came next, you know, with that story. And the bleeding of the lightsaber, that scene was amazing. Like,
I didn't know what that meant, but I was like, this is cool.
I was like,
Star Wars fans got so much cool shit in the Acolyte that it blows our mind. And like you said, those fight scenes, come on. What are we talking about? Sorry, go ahead, Chase. It's just mad.
No, you're good. No, you're right. It's some insanely cool shit happening in there. And I did see a lot of people, you know, after the fact, who caught up on it later, like you said, was like, what's all the hate about? It's not that bad. It's like, it's a victim of the review bombing. And and of just the outright hate. And I don't know what it is. If it is just outright racism, like maybe that is what it is. I mean, if since we are comparing the two, like Acolyte versus Agatha, Acolyte is way more diverse as far as the main cast goes. Like, I'd say it's way more diverse. And so that in and of itself, like I I am a nerd who went to see the re-release of The Phantom Menace for its anniversary, and they had the teaser for the Acolyte afterwards. And I watched it in theater and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. It was like the opening scene where Trinity is fighting her in the bar. And anyways,
I love how
like,
she
this
will
is awesome.
forever be Trinity. Like that's just who she is.
Yeah,
It's not Carrie Ann Moss.
right now.
It's just Trinity.
Carrie Ann Moss,
Yeah.
you will forever be Trinity in our hearts.
But anyways, as I was leaving the theater, I overheard some bros being like, "Oh, that's not my fucking Star Wars," and I'm just like, "What are you talking about? That we just saw one of the coolest like fight scenes ever, and you're talking like this." And I don't know. There were no white dudes in that scene, so maybe that's why. I don't know. It's a fair point. But and then Agatha too. Like I was saying earlier, it's a show we're getting because of a character that was a breakout and already had a lot of love going into it. Yeah. And then
fans wrap themselves like around that performance and really were like, we want to see this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even if this isn't like gonna be the like breakout thing that's gonna cross every quadrant that everybody's gonna watch. It was such a great character that they were like, sure, we'll do this. Mm-hmm. We'll make this show that we maybe wouldn't make.
Yeah.
To that point, Chase, do you think and then we'll go into the streaming and movies of it all. Do you think there is any possible chance that Kathleen Kennedy, or as it's been rumored, if it's Kevin Feige that's eventually going to take over, whoever is going to be spearheading the next Star Wars projects, do you think there's any way? Two questions. One, do you think that the fans that are railing on these things are actually turning off people like myself, or even people who are even more casual than me? And two, do you think there's anything that can be done to alleviate that and kind of get Star Wars back? If you were running Star Wars, what would you do if you were running that franchise? And is there anything that you can do to get it back to a place maybe that it was when, I hate this movie, but The Rise of Skywalker made $1 billion.
Wild.
Is there
that movie made a fucking $1 billion?
Yeah, that actually is mind blowing.
Is there a way to get that kind of momentum back? Because we've seen diminishing returns on the shows. What do you think? The first question.
It's hard to say because I can't imagine being in Kathleen Kennedy's shoes to begin with. And like, to Crystal's point, how many times has Star Wars been ruined for people? I mean, even before the prequels, you've got the holiday special, which was which came out after the first movie. Like, so Star Wars was ruined after the first movie, and then you've got Return of the Jedi, which had Ewoks, which they put fucking teddy bears in Star Wars. And Return of the Jedi might be my favorite Star Wars movie, but
we can be friends, Chase. We can be friends.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We'll have to talk later about The Last Jedi, but I'll forgive it.
That's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
But no, I think kind of the way to do it is I'm they've announced kind of their slate of projects that may or may not come to fruition.
We can
Yeah. So like there's like rumors about a Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie, and there's the new Jedi Order movie with Rey, which as a fan of that character, I'm here for it. I think what I would do with that is kind of make that be the next big trilogy or saga, whatever establishing this new order is, and really go into like addressing the flaws of the previous Jedi Order and things we've seen, like the Acolyte, and then the infiltration of Mr. Palpatine and all of that. And let's show how the new Jedi Order, or whatever they want to call themselves, can do that. And I think you bring back Rey as like almost an Obi-Wan Kenobi type character. I think you bring back Finn as another Jedi Master. I think Finn should absolutely be around. And I think you could bring old lady Ahsoka in as almost like the new Yoda. I think that would be really cool. And you could also have like Cal Kestis from the video games. I know I'm sounding a little too fanboyish right now, but I'm just saying they have these.
Like, you're being so fanboy.
They have
I know
these.
who that is.
There you go. I
So
know that
proud of you,
reference.
JB.
But they have these kind of characters that are beloved, I think it would be really interesting just to kind of really hone in on that being the new saga that kind of ties in all these other pieces in a really cool way. But that's what I'm thinking. I think it's just hard. I think a part of it too is Disney wanted to just pump it out and turn it into the MCU, and I don't know that the pace that they did it was great. Like I said, I'm here for all the different stories and all the different genres. Like, I want more of that, and I want the universe to get bigger, the Star Wars universe to get bigger and not feel smaller. So I'm here for all that. I just wonder if maybe they did too much too fast.
Gotcha. Crystal, where you at?
Admittedly, I'm also in I don't give a fuck era. My Aries moon is really, really strong right now. And I'm in because Chase, you brought up a good point that Star Wars fans, I don't feel too bad for Kathleen Kennedy because I think she knew what she was getting into, especially if she's taking over after George Lucas's run, right? But I also think that nobody should have been shocked how Star Wars fans act when Star Wars fans get released, because you have history of how Star Wars fans act when things get released, right? So they're not like the MCU. But I think if your objective as Disney is to say, well, okay, we're always going to have these loud, angry little fanboys over here, I think you can appease them while also bringing in a new audience. I think the Acolyte did that. I think we can talk a lot about how the Acolyte fucked up its marketing and it focused on the wrong mystery. JB, like you said, about some of the pacing. I think what you do if you are in charge of Star Wars right now, you do exactly what Chase says. You give people that familiarity, right? I think people are foaming at the mouth to see a Darth Revan, Knights of the Old Republic era come in, that kind of stuff. You could even do Star Wars The Old Republic. That video game was popular for a hot minute. You could go into that era. I think there's a lot of familiarity you can give fans, so sure, make those. But I also think that we aren't afraid to tread new ground, right? And you do it anyway. Okay, so the Acolyte failed, quote unquote failed. So fucking what? One, why did it cost so fucking much? That's what the fuck? Like, were we laundering money through this show? Like, what is happening that it cost that much? Like, that there was
it was not on the screen.
Right,
it was not on the screen.
Not at all. There was no reason for the Acolyte to cost as much as it did. So no fucking, like, if you canceled it because it was $200 million an episode, maybe don't make it $200 million a fucking episode. Like, maybe we start there and not cancel the show.
Go back to the volume.
Right. So, but I think you keep telling new stories to bring in an audience, and they have to be diverse stories. If you want to get away from all these little fanboys, and you want to bring in people like myself, like my partner, who Hannah's a Star Trek fan, and like she said, The Acolyte was the first Star Wars show she really gave a fuck about, and we enjoyed The Mandalorian. We love Ahsoka. I mean, she's also a Star Wars fan. She's Clone Wars. We've done all that, right? But nobody was fucking with the Clone Wars either when it came out. So you just can't appease Star Wars fans. It's 10 years later, and now everybody's like, Clone Wars is the fucking best. You wasn't saying that when it came out. You were not saying that. So you've just gotta find a new audience for Star Wars. And you don't do that in this era by not leaning into diverse storytelling. But I think you have to know what's a show, what's a movie. And I think Star Wars needs writers that are going to do some of these properties justice. I think the next time you release a trilogy, you don't get two very strong-headed directors fighting against each other because he wants to tell one story and he wants to tell another one. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we put one person in charge of the trilogy. Okay, and you give us a J.J. Abrams Star Wars. You give us a Rian Johnson version of the fucking Force or what the fuck ever. I think there's a whole list of smart directors, really brilliant directors and really brilliant writers that I would love to bring in. So Star Wars finally has its like Black Panther. So it has these really strong, powerful stories that move us and touch us and have the diversity, and just be prepared for the backlash. So what?
There's
happen.
Yeah, but
there's going to be backlash, but it's a universe where you've got all these different alien creatures, and like we're drawing the line at people of color or people with different sexual orientations. Like the universe is so much bigger than that, and you got to let it be. You just got to let it be.
You just have to. So you appease the old fan beast, but you start making content to bring in the new ones, and you just do it right, and you do it anyway. And I think it's also on us as fans, and we say this a lot on this podcast, you've got to be louder than the haters. We have to start talking more about the things that we love. And I know it's not fun that when you express an opinion on social media that you've got to spend now 50 minutes just blocking motherfuckers because they're so fucking toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally understand that, what people have the spoons for. But we have to be louder than the haters. You have to be. Because otherwise, you've got to watch the stuff. You've got to go to the movies, like JV says. You've got to support it, and you have to be really loud about your support. You don't have to do blanket. This is great. We all have problems with the Acolyte, but we still wanted to see more of it. And you've got to let things be okay to fail. Like what happened to 22 episode shows, and like 7 of them, we were like, what the fuck? Don't be afraid to try new stuff. Some of it'll hit, some of it won't. That's fine. Just let it ride. You've got to fucking let it ride. We can't just.
And that's the thing. It was like, that's what I hoped for the Acolyte. I was hoping that they would get a second season to improve on those critiques from the first season. Absolutely. Because the story, while it's really poorly paced, I would say the story itself is great and really awesome. And like the episode length was super uneven. I remember some episodes were closer to 30 minutes and some were 50 minutes. And like that's got to go. We need hour-long episodes. That's what we need. Unless it's a cartoon, an animated series for Star Wars, like I want a good chunk of an episode to watch. And that just wasn't how it was.
You've got to be smart with your storytelling on that too, because I don't mind 30 minutes. I think I want to bring to mind Orphan Black, which was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
That told the story it wanted to tell and did not care how long episodes were. They were like, here's the story. Here's the fucking story. And they had so much freedom to do that. I would love to see that copied across different genres or whatever. But the Orphan Black had an incredible writing team from start to finish. And I just want there's so many people you just want to pluck and you want to put them in Star Wars and like make Star Wars amazing, please, begging.
And they understood, they understood that, to your point, Crystal, you can have an episode that's 30 minutes. That's got to be a focused 30 minutes. Like, but you also, you're editing the episode and writing the episode to what it needs, as opposed to trying to fill some sort of measure of time, right? Mm-hmm. If the episode calls for it to be uh 75 minutes, then it should be.
Right.
And if the episode calls for it to be 25 minutes, then it should be.
Right.
And you shouldn't be contracting or expanding based on, you know, the amount of time. You should be contracting or expanding that story based on what it is you're trying to do with the narrative in that specific episode. Um, but to your point, as we kind of move into uh, streaming, and we're going to talk about uh, kind of what's been happening, because I think there are a lot of interesting things happening. To your point, before we leave this particular discussion, I do want to say, guys, enjoy the stuff you enjoy. It is
100%.
really, really easy to become hypercritical of things that you love. And it makes sense that you'd be hypercritical about things that you love. And I'm certainly not suggesting that you shouldn't be watching things that you like with a critical eye. But I was having this conversation in another Discord. Shout out to our boy Delvin Cox, PSVG, the Delvin Cox experience. Delvin and I are big wrestling fans. You see it, John Cena last time. Let's go.
You can't see that.
WrestleMania. And we were talking about wrestling, and one thing that's been happening specifically is there is a storyline with a wrestler named Jey Uso, and he has traditionally been an underdog. Was in a tag team with his brother. They've had lots of success, but he has a solo run now. And he is facing a guy named Gunther, and Gunther is an excellent wrestler, world-class wrestler. This is not like storyline. This guy's an excellent professional wrestler. And what I started to see, and what we started to see as talking about fans, is everybody was behind Jey in this underdog story, right? Because wrestling is about stories. And so they're behind this underdog story. And long story short, he wins the Royal Rumble. And by winning the Royal Rumble, that allows you to main event WrestleMania and choose your choice of champion. This was supposed to be the culmination of his story. People started to have backlash because he didn't do all the moves that everybody did. They got tired of the chant. Now, nothing has fundamentally changed between the time that people were like just ravenous for him and now, but it's almost like wrestling fans who can be super critical. The internet wrestling community is not great. They kind of cannibalized it in a way because it wasn't hitting every single thing, and it's like they lost the perspective of having joy in it. Right? They lost the perspective of having joy in this thing by being so critical of it. And I would challenge everybody who's listening, love on the things you love. We talked about Star Trek Discovery a couple of weeks ago because we really loved it. And we wanted to talk about things that we loved and not just be overly critical, because we are going to be critical. But love the things you love and remember why you love them, why you became a fan of those things. And it's okay to be critical, but don't get to a point where you start to hate the thing. So I think that it might be the biggest impediment to Star Wars right now, is they have a group of fans that now hate the thing that they grew up loving because it's evolving and it's different. But also, they've hated all the things.
Yeah, there's YouTubers who have made entire fan bases out of the hate culture, hating on Star Wars, you know? And it's that, like, when you look up the Acolyte on YouTube, it's like you only get all the hate-filled videos. Like, that's all you see. It's like, it's really hard to find a video that's talking positive about it. And it's the hateful voices speak. They're just really loud. So, like you guys said, we got to be louder.
Be louder. You know, in real life too, not
Mhm.
just with your fandom. Be louder than the haters.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Be louder with love.
That's right.
Yes, and enjoy the things. Matthew, I see you in the chat. You do talk about the things you love, and I know you love Hundreds of Beavers, and I'm gonna watch it on Tubi soon.
Hey, shout out to Hundreds of Beavers. It's pretty great.
See, Matthew,
It's pretty great.
Chase loves Hundreds of Beavers.
It's pretty great.
Don't tell me anything about it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it this weekend. In fact, okay.
I don't know
Matthew,
how I would spoil that movie. That's a great question.
Shout out to Matthew, creator of Motorverse, one of our hosts. We love him.
Yes.
And we're gonna watch Hundreds of
I don't know
Beavers,
about
and
JV's gonna watch it. I might watch it one day.
Yeah.
I might get around
Yeah.
to it. I'm gonna get around to it just for Matt. Just for
yeah,
Matt.
I'm still I got Crystal to watch Superman with me when the new Superman
I'm
comes
doing
out.
it. I'm watching it. Listen, that
Yeah.
soundtrack goes hard as hell. Let's go.
So talking about movies, as we move the discussion to streaming, we're seeing some trends happen specifically with movies. This was a very bad first quarter for movies. Overall, really fell below expectations. Last weekend was very good. Minecraft came out. It made $380 million
Did it really?
globally, 157 domestically.
Yes.
So it kind of is a wind in the sail of the box office. But what I wanted to talk about is, one, why do you think people aren't going to the movies anymore? And to that point, I read a really sort of depressing statistic that they talked to US adults, and this is from 2022. I wasn't able to get newer numbers than that, but it appears that the numbers are similar from what I've seen. In 2022, the average US adult saw about 1.4 movies in theaters within a 12-month span. Literally 12 months, they're going once. Between 2001 and 2007, US adults watched an average of 4.8 movies in a theater. So that's quite a precipitous fall. What is going on? We know there's some issues with quality. We know streaming is dominant. Netflix, for all intents and purposes, is TV for some people. They turn on the TV, and what they're turning on is Netflix. We're certainly seeing movies that would typically be in a theater, especially during dead times, are now coming to streaming. There's a lot of Hollywood stars that are now doing streaming movies. I think what I'm asking guys is, are movies about to die? And I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but looking at the trends and looking at the first quarter, putting on our business hats here, it kind of seems like we got a real issue inside of the theaters.
Yeah. I think we can maybe we can prepare for 12 years of more Minecraft movies, is what it sounds like.
God, no. No.
I mean, I go back to
say something, and I'll let you go, Chase. I'll bring it back after this. Somebody did say something that made me a little bit happy about the success of Minecraft. I'll share that with you later.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I don't know. It's scary because even the big Marvel movies, that used to be kind of guaranteed to make money, have kind of this. I think they're still all making money, but not as much money as they would have. And I know a lot of that's just in the handling, I think, of the multiverse saga, but I go back to an interview I think Steven Spielberg and George Lucas did like 10 years ago or so, where they talked about how eventually movie theaters were just going to be for the big tentpole features, like things like the Oppenheimers or things, that are going to be these kind of big event spectacle movies. And I don't know, it feels like that's kind of coming into play. And then, the streaming of it all, I don't know if it's a case of we have movies at home, like we've got all this stuff that we can watch at home. And I would say we were in a while in this kind of golden era of TV where like the content was all quality and, peak the best of the best. And then now I feel like we're almost entering this new phase of like oversaturation, of where there's like every company has a streaming site, and every company's putting out, content, MGM Plus. I didn't realize
I didn't even know existed.
Yeah,
a year ago.
yeah, I know. And they have like all these different shows with like legitimate actors, and I'm like, what? I've never even heard of any of this. And so it's like I almost think there's just too much to watch, like for general audiences. What's that?
Like choice paralysis. You have so much choice that
exactly, and I've been a victim of that too. Because I've got my lists and stuff. Sometimes I'll open up the apps and look at the list, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then if you go back to look at the algorithm, that's even worse. You're like, oh, just adding. I feel like I spend more time on the apps adding things to my list than I do watching.
I bet. And Crystal, we've talked about this, and I want the people to hear your thoughts on why do you think, one, just talking about streaming, we know that streaming has had its own problems. And Netflix is this kind of generational, really, I mean, it's a generational algorithm. That's really what it is. That is a platform for hosting movies and television. We've talked about before, you and I, the kind of the lack of quality when it comes to some of the streaming services. What do you think the streaming services that haven't been quite as successful, and let's call them out by name, Disney Plus, which has had issues retaining subscribers, adding new subscribers. What do you think they are missing? Especially having the library that they have. What is it that they're doing or not doing that's not seeming to be working?
Everybody needs to stop trying to be like Netflix. Is the biggest thing. Real quick to the first point, I think what can't be ignored in why people aren't going to the movies anymore, I don't think it's not just we can stay at home. I also think we can't ignore the cost. We can't ignore how things changed after COVID. And then I'm like you, JV. I love going to the movies, and 9 times out of the 10, I'm not in the movie theater because it's $50 fucking for me to go and like actually get my beer and my cookies and enjoy myself the way I want to when I go in the movie theaters. And in this economy, $50, you crazy? Do you know how much shit I can get at Aldi for $50? I'll wait for it to come out on stream. It's a lot. And
Shout out Aldi.
Yeah, and I genuinely miss that movie going experience. But also, there just wasn't a lot in the first quarter of this year, like we talked about, that I actually wanted to like go see. Like there was stuff I want to see, but it was kind of like now you're weighing how much you want to go see it, how much it costs you to go see it versus, well, it'll just be out on streaming eventually, right? And I think that's kind of what streaming ruined for movie theaters. Now,
and then also sorry, just real quick, the release window being so much shorter now too. It's like, it's not even going to be that long. And often sometimes some companies are putting stuff out on streaming before they're even available on physical media, which I think is absurd. I don't know. But to me, that's an absurd decision.
We're not allowed to own anything anymore. That's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like to your point, that exactly right. It's so we're choosing. So now it's like an experience. I mean, I was actually like, I thought that when COVID happened, I actually thought that drive-in movie theaters were gonna make a comeback, because I'm like, that's the perfect response to not being able to be in a movie theater anymore. But it didn't happen, and I was actually shocked that it didn't. But to your point about streaming, I think. I'm not sure which of the because I don't do names, but one of the Wayman brothers was on an interview, and he said it best. He was literally talking about how people were so greedy to copy Netflix's business model without understanding what made Netflix Netflix.
Right.
Right. And now they're just fucking up and scrambling. It was Damon. Yeah. Okay.
Damon.
Yeah. And I think that there needs to be a different expectation for everything now. I think that you're going to have your Minecraft movies. And we were just talking about loving what you love. Like, we're making fun of the Minecraft movie. But if that was your shit, have fun with it. It's like,
Yeah, no, 100%.
we had Mortal Kombat and fucking Streets of Rage and shit. You know, we had ours, so it's fine. I can't wait for the new Mortal Kombat movie to come out, by the way. Fucking let's go. But I think that, like, when we think of Disney Plus, like, you're not thinking, I'm still, like, I know Marvel's on there, and I know Star Wars is on there, and I think there are actually some fucking horror movies on there, but nobody went to Disney for these things. And for Disney to just come out one day and be like, we now have a streaming service, and we've talked about this before, you took away the Disney Vault, which was such a huge... My God, like, we panicked. If there was a Disney movie that you were going to lock behind that vault for 20 years, we was like, hold up, let me go get that shit real quick before it's gone. Now you're just telling me it's available.
I love the access. I love the access that it has. Like, especially when London was just a little bit younger, it would be like, oh, okay, we have every Disney movie.
Sure.
And we can play Frozen a million times.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to go out and buy it. But it seems like such a weird business decision to take something that you kind of built your brand on, like this exclusivity.
Right.
Like, we only put Peter Pan out every 12 years, and if you don't get it, then you're shit out of luck until the next time it comes out.
Right.
And now it's just like, okay, every movie we've ever done is on this service.
Right.
And then you have Star Wars in the MCU, and it doesn't feel like it makes sense for them to have that many TV shows.
Yeah. And then now they have the Hulu thing on there. So I opened up Disney Plus the other night, and it's like Dying for Sex. And I'm like, whoa, on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Like,
because they've now combined it with Hulu to get more Hulu and ESPN. Like, when you go to your Disney
it's
Plus
just
app,
cable
you
now.
see everything.
Right. It's literally just cable now. It's literally just cable now. So, and I think that they need new expectations of how much money movies are going to make when they release in theaters. I don't think that means release less things in theaters. I think you have to readjust your expectations. I think expecting every movie to be a Minecraft, to be an Iron Man, to be a Deadpool and Wolverine,
make $1 billion
it's not realistic. It's just fucking not. I mean, you and I, we had that offer when we reviewed The Gorge, and we were talking about why the fuck wasn't that in theaters? Why the fuck wasn't Prey in theaters? There's so many things that are coming. The Old Guard. I know it's a Netflix exclusive, but how amazing would it have been to see The Old Guard in movie theaters? I think if you release The Old Guard 2 in movie theaters, I think Netflix could make mad money off of The Old Guard 2 being in movie theaters, and then make more money for the people who didn't want to watch it and go to streaming. I think there's a way that you can like merge the two as well. But Disney,
and
HBO,
they've played with it a little bit.
Right.
They've played with it usually around award season.
Yeah.
Like Netflix has been like, hey, we will put this out in theaters for a very limited run, so it qualifies for the Oscars.
Right.
They have yet to win that Best Picture that they've been looking for. What was the movie we were just talking about it yesterday, Chase? The movie that was a surefire bet until its actor basically tanked the whole thing.
Oh, Amelia Perez.
Amelia Perez looked like it was going to be their first win, which they've been gunning for. They have been gunning for. Sony has a Best Picture win. or excuse me, Apple, I'm sorry, has a Best Picture win
Oh
for
yeah,
a
I
streaming
forgot
movie
about
with
that.
Coda,
That's wild.
Apple's
right?
Yeah.
just low
So
key doing their thing, which I think is really working for them. But I think greed is driving these business decisions and not storytelling. And Hollywood kind of always had that problem with executives interfering in storytelling. And usually when executives interfered in storytelling, we got shit like that alien movie Who Shall Not Be Named, right? We got, you got shit like that. You got shit that just fucking bombed that you realized it was a suit making a decision. What's happening with streaming is it's actually affecting their bottom line to the point that they're scrambling. It's The Eternal should have been a fucking TV series. Obi-Wan probably could have been a movie. It's not knowing the difference between the two, and you're having an identity crisis. You spent decades being Disney, and now you expect me to go to Disney to watch Saw?
yeah,
Like,
and
Yeah.
what's
it's like,
crazy,
what are we doing?
what what's crazy is like Disney just got to the point where they decided, oh, TV has showrunners, and we need to have showrunners, which is nuts because you're talking about a company that worked with Shonda Rhimes,
Right,
right? They like
right.
know how critical a showrunner is, and they decided to do this like without showrunners, and so I do think that's why the Acolyte was a little bit better than some of the other shows. That's
Hmm.
why Agatha was a little bit better because they were produced in that era of
Right,
okay, we
Competent
do have a
showrunners.
showrunner.
right.
Um,
Streaming was still
and
TV.
two,
It was just TV
yeah,
available immediately. Like it wasn't. So the
right.
idea that Disney would be like, I'm going to do streaming, but not understand that streaming is TV is like fucking mind blowing. Like I don't get it. Like I don't know
Yeah.
what magic or what discussions were happening behind the scenes where they were like, we can just do it this way. No, you can't. Like, no, you fucking can't, bro. Like you just can't.
Right. And real quick, I just want to shout out my man Chris in the chat. He took his family, so he does have a family of four.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was actually sitting down with Lisa, and we were doing this as we were preparing for this episode. Chris said, I think I spent around $150 to take a family of four to see Minecraft with foods, drinks, and tickets. I'd much rather have streamed it in a few weeks and given my kids some cheap popcorn. It's true. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
become like Disneyland. And Chris is that is not that is not like he's not being like outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
We did the math and we looked at like what it's like to take a family of four. And my brother Chris lives in Simi Valley, which is right outside of LA, so you're getting LA prices. And that is accurate. It
Right.
would cost you about $130 to $150 to take your family, and we're just talking about we're not talking about like getting a beer,
Mm-hmm.
like you could get at a theater or getting a cocktail or getting a pizza. No, we're talking about getting a few popcorns, some drinks,
Mm-hmm.
and the tickets.
Yeah.
And I think if we don't get to a point movie wise where we come down to like $12 tickets as a base for
Mm-hmm.
everything,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're risking losing a generation of moviegoers, which takes me back to the thing I was going to say about Minecraft, Chase. I was listening to the Ringer podcast, The Big Picture, with Sean Fennessy and Amanda Dobbins. If you love movies, I highly recommend it. And great podcast, great insight. And Sean Fennessy went to go see Minecraft, and he was like, it's not a great movie, but it's a movie for kids.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that
Sure.
companies should be getting back to is doing more movies for kids. But he said one of the things that encouraged him was like these kids are now building memories. So they're building memories about their experience in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what chicken jockey is, but apparently chicken jockey is like some big thing in the theaters and kids are going crazy. And so as much as the kind of Cinedouche inside me wants to be like, ugh, Minecraft, that is pretty encouraging that a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old is now having the same feeling that we may have had when we saw, I don't know, when we saw Jurassic Park,
Right.
right? And you're like, this is what movies can do, and I'm seeing my world. But to that point, you have to take that 7, 8, 9-year-old.
Right.
And when it becomes more than it costs to get into Disneyland, like a couple of tickets for Disneyland, then we're getting to a place where I just don't know if we can like sustain movie going if we don't have those movies out. Like we were talking about The Gorge, where there are no rom-coms. There are no rom-coms. There's no weird little movies. Those weird little movies go to streaming now.
Yeah.
And then they just die.
Right.
Yeah.
Like nobody's seen The Gorge.
That's
Like
wild.
it's a
great little
hit
movie.
on Apple TV.
Yeah.
But Apple doesn't do much advertising.
Right.
Like we were talking about this with Matthew. Matthew was like, I don't watch anything on Apple, and I was reeling off these shows. And I think the big thing with Matthew is like he hadn't seen advertisements for any of these. So even if there was something up his alley, he would never know. And I feel like that's dangerous. And to that point, guys, Tom Hardy has a new movie on Netflix this Friday called Havoc. I don't know if either of you have seen The Raid Redemption or the Raid movies. They're like some of the best action movies of the last 20 years.
Okay.
The director of that is directing Tom fucking Hardy in a straight up hardcore action thriller. Have you heard of it?
I honestly have not heard of it, and I am a huge like movie buff that's like plugged in to the news, and I've never heard of this movie.
What I'm getting
Crystal,
fed
never heard
right
of it?
now in my algorithm is Viola Davis's new action movie. I have not heard of Tom's.
G20.
Yeah, G20 looks fun.
Yep.
I'm not.
I'm
yeah,
like super stoked.
Yeah, I'm dialed in. I can't wait to see her fucking be an action hero. I had no idea about this movie. No, it's not. I'm not getting ads for it anywhere.
In that, I think that in combination with the price of movies, the types of movies that come out, which only seem to be one kind, that is the thing that scares me as a fan of seeing movies in the cinema, in the theater, the way they are meant to be seen. Like we have a major star being in an action movie directed by an incredible director of action. And that used to be like when we were kids, right? Mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, those would be movies that would make money. I mean, Jason Statham just had a #1 hit.
Did he really have a #1 hit with that fucking movie with Working Man? Did it really?
With Working Man.
Good for him.
Which is crazy because it's like the same movie that he always does.
Right.
Like, I put The Beekeeper in my top 10. I'm sorry, Chase. I put The Beekeeper in my top 10
I've seen
of
that
2024. One,
dumbass
because I
action
had
movie.
so much fun, and it's just so dumb, but it's just a great little revenge action movie, which is all that Jason Statham does. But we used to get like 20 of those a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
We used to
about
get
Arnold and
the
Sly
rom-coms.
Stallone and all that kind of dumb shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like that stuff is just gone now.
Yeah. And what about word of mouth? Like I think about John Wick as a good example because I remember when John Wick, the first one, was coming out, there wasn't like a whole lot of interest in it, like going into it, but like that movie had really great word of mouth, and like everyone's like, "Oh, you got to see this! It's badass! It's awesome!" And now here we are, we got a whole franchise that they're doing off of it, and like I think these.
Ballerina.
Can't
Yeah,
wait.
I think these companies are like doing themselves a disservice by not putting stuff in theaters on these big screens and giving it time to find an audience. Same thing, with like how quickly they canceled their series based off of an algorithm that's making a decision. And it's just a knee-jerk reaction instead of kind of letting something breathe. And I get it, it's a business, so they got to make their money, but they're chasing the dollar instead of trying to make good art, I guess. But
I think if we're going to go back to the era, and I'm not opposed to it, of us just all going to see these little dumbass fun action movies in theaters again,
Mhm.
I think it goes back to your point, JV, where we've got to lower the price of entry, right? Because I saw The Beekeeper, but that to me is, I'm not paying $50 to go see that. You know, that
Right.
is 1000% of me and Hannah sitting on the couch having a good. We saw The Beekeeper. It was fun, loved it, hilarious.
It could be a date night movie, but not for 50.
Yeah, not for $50 fucking, not anymore, you know. And I get it, and but and we miss those. But I think you've got to go back to making movie going the magical experience that it was. But you've also got to lower the cost of entry as well, because people, with just the way the country is going right now, we're not going to spend that money. But also, we're all bouncing around different streaming services too. Like Netflix has literally said, Netflix is starting to bring on, like, get rid of their anime voice actors who have been doing dubbing, and they're going to bring on AI now. I'm not giving Netflix another fucking dollar.
No, I canceled my Netflix too.
Right, like I'm not, like, and so now you've got these streaming. So that's also factoring into the problems that we have as well, where HBO Max got something, fucking Disney's got something, Netflix has something, and we don't own any of it because nobody's putting it on DVD. So it's kind of like we're kind of in this toxic relationship with streaming as well.
Right.
It's only,
Because how do you even find the thing that you want to watch?
Right.
You might have, I want to watch this movie,
mm-hmm.
and you have to go Google it to see if it is on streaming.
Right.
Like you were saying, Crystal, if it has physical media.
Right.
Because it might not,
right.
Especially if
I got Amazon Prime, but like half the shit I want to see, I can't. It's not included in fucking Amazon Prime, right? I'm still gotta rent or buy it, because everybody's fucking greedy. So it's just like we're kind of going back to the days of LimeWire in a lot of situations as well with some of this, and I know that hurts the art, but that's where, like, we're all at. I think Paramount Plus and Apple TV are the two places that I'd want to give my money, because one, Apple TV is low key, doing their thing. Like, I kept hearing about Severance. I was yesterday's years old where I was like, fuck it, let me finally Google what this is about. And I thought this was just some, like, crime drama something. And I'm like, whoa, this is sci-fi about some weird. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I would actually probably be really
like
right. I'd probably really like Severance. But just from the title and the fact that Apple TV does not give a fuck, I would never know that this was something that I would, want to spend money on. So it's clear that Apple and, like, Paramount Plus, they don't care. They're just, like, doing shit, which I love for them. And those would be the two streaming services that I'd want to support. But at this point, let's just bring back cable TV, where it was 300 channels and we still weren't watching it because we were like, damn, ain't shit on. I remember that. I remember having 300 fucking channels and I still can't find shit to watch, but then I was like, I can go to the movies. I can do this. I can go buy the DVD. I can do, we might as well get back to that, because this whole streaming thing, it's not, everybody trying to be like Netflix doesn't work. And I'm mad at Netflix right now. So I'm still not giving you any money.
I think going back to what you were saying about what Damon Wayne said, like, it is an algorithm problem, right? Like, the companies didn't fundamentally understand that Netflix is an algorithm first. Like, the idea that they decided to get into making their own shows makes a lot of sense, but they did that knowing, one, for the reason of, like, well, if I'm making it, I don't have to license it.
Right.
So then why wouldn't I just try to make a high quality show, which they did, right? I think their first two shows were I know one of them was Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, fire.
And
they were making quality content.
The Kevin Spacey one, which I can't think
of.
Oh,
that was good. House of Cards. Yeah, that was excellent.
House of Cards.
Yeah,
House of Cards.
Excellent shows. These were excellent shows.
And I kind of feel like the streaming companies jumped in, and especially, and this is not like a bash Disney thing, but it's hard to not talk about them specifically, because I think they just were like, hey, we have IP.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of IP now. We went out, we bought Star Wars, we bought Marvel, we bought the two most, maybe the two most important entertainment IPs as far as, like, generating a dollar.
Yeah.
And now we want to chase streaming because less people are coming to see our movies in general, right? But I don't think they understood that that's not what made that work. And to your point, Crystal, we've talked about this ad nauseum.
Oh yeah.
We've talked about Eternals so much over the years and how different of a property that is if it's done like Game of Thrones
Right.
instead of being a movie,
Yeah.
or how popular something like Ms. Marvel could get if it had been a movie and not 6 episodes.
Right.
And so Disney, I really think, is kind of prime example number one of this should have been a movie. This thing should have been a TV show. And also, Chase, you brought up the release window, and that made me look at a particular movie which I liked, which was One of Them Days with SZA and Keke Palmer. And I saw it in theaters, and I really, really liked it. Highly recommend it. You can now watch it on Netflix. It was released, I think, on January 19th and came to streaming last month.
Oh wow.
So it was less than 45 days.
Yeah.
And I think what's the buy-in for you to go see that in theaters?
Right.
To Chris's point that he pointed out in the chat, I think very well, when it's going to cost you, $50 for just you and your partner to go.
Right.
Right.
Like, there's no value incentive for me to go see it in the movies if it is going to be on Netflix in a month and a half or maybe less, or it's going to be on VOD for $20.
And you've
It
got to
just
be
makes
smarter with the
sense.
marketing too. And I think Marvel's really hitting it with Thunderbolts. I think listen, the marketing for Thunderbolts is really, really smart, and you can tell that they really, really care. And it's making me actually really, really happy and like hype for this movie. But I think, listen, fuck HBO, Mac. HBO has they're not in the conversation because it's quite clear that HBO renaming itself from whatever the fuck,
HBO Warner Brothers is
whatever. Yeah, it's that guy is like determined to
David
rival
Zaslav.
Elon Musk as the most hated man on earth right now, especially with what he's doing with Looney Tunes. Like, I want to just fucking toss him in a submarine and sink him to the bottom of the fucking ocean right now. I said what I said.
Same.
Right?
Same.
Like, I'm just so done
Batgirl.
with. I'm
Batgirl. I will be forever mad that we're not going to see Batgirl, because I love those two directors are the guys who did the last 2 Bad Boys movies. Which I have a lot of
come
fun with.
on,
Like,
the first two.
I really want to see their take.
It is wild. It's wild that there's a movie with Michael Keaton's Batman in it that's just never going to be seen.
That's
never going to
stupid.
be seen.
It's just
Ever.
I don't know what they're doing. And it's heartbreaking too, because this is what we're talking about. I found out is also like hitting the publishing industry as well, where people are feeding content based on algorithms and money instead of, hey, we're trying to tell stories. And that will forever not make sense to me, because you can do both. So the fact that we're like, that Disney is like, well, we got to be Netflix, so that means you got to give me like all this fucking content. And now Marvel fans are like, well, I'm not doing homework, motherfucker. I'm not,
It's too much content.
It's too much content. It's too much. So yes, Disney, you had all this IP, but you were licensing it out to Netflix. And I know you were making fucking money, because back in the day, right around the time, I was talking to people in the industry, and like, when Netflix came into the room, you lost the pitch. It was going to Netflix. They was like a bottomless fucking pocket at that point. And you could have kept selling your shit to Netflix and let Netflix be Netflix and done like whatever. Like, nobody was saying not have a Disney Plus, but just know who the fuck you are. Sure, bring the Marvel movies to Disney Plus because you fucking own them. Great. But don't push this. And don't spend all this money on TV shows when you don't have a fundamental understanding of it. Like, that's the business decision that doesn't make sense for me. And that's what's really hurting and killing content for so many artists and people. And it's just like, I think Katie Sackhoff was talking about it on her show right now. It's like Hollywood is going through it right now. They are literally, going through like their own little fucking reckoning with how hard it is to get things made right now because everybody wants it to make $1 billion. And I don't like Homeboy, when writers were on strike and actors were on strike, was like, shit's not realistic. Bitch, you are the one living in Fantasyland right now. Like it's not us, bitch. It's you.
And now, and I don't want to talk about the guy that's in the White House, but I think it's important to point out, like, his tariffs, which just breaking news if you haven't heard, they've now been paused for 30 days. But
insider trading.
Speaking specifically to what you were saying about these movies needing to make $1 billion, one of the big things that's been a trend over the last 10 years is some of the reason we've been getting some of the movies we get is because they can play well in China, and they don't have to they just don't have to translate other things. You know, you could translate The Rock to China. The Rock jumping out of a skyscraper, right, is something that you don't have to speak English to understand what that is. And with these tariffs, China said they would stop showing U.S. movies in China, which is a gigantic deal. They have more screens per capita than any other country. Their people will go out and support the movies they like. But even China has turned away from Hollywood, right? China's making $1 billion movies that we don't know about, that we've never heard of, that we don't see trailers for.
Yeah.
They don't need us. They basically know how to make blockbusters now and have taken our formulas and then used them. So it's just very interesting to me the way that these companies are trying to marry what they're trying to do on the film side, what they're trying to do on the TV/streaming side. And Paramount Plus, like, Paramount's not in a great financial position, but look at what they've done.
Right.
They have the Taylor Sheridan universe. So that's Yellowstone, all the Yellowstones, Lioness, Landman. They have the Star Trek shows, which consistently have a fan base and get new fans.
They have like the CBS, all the CBS stuff.
They have all the CBS stuff
for
they
your grandparents.
Right. They're kind of covering everything.
Yeah.
Like I've been told to watch Yellowstone a million times, and maybe someday I will. My mom was just on my case about it. She was like, "You need to watch it."
You don't, Jermaine. You don't.
I might need to though. But like,
as someone who has, you don't.
They do a really good job, I think, of understanding what they want to do with their streaming service.
Right.
Like, okay, these are the things that we want to have on there, and it's a pretty diverse slate.
Yeah. Like,
it seems to work. Like, if they could do that in movie theaters, that's a whole different thing. They're going to be purchased by somebody eventually. But I think that's a good example of a streaming service that sort of understands, like, oh, we're not Netflix, so we're not going to try to be.
Right.
Because there's no way to chase that giant. Like, you will just lose every time. So yeah, I like Lioness, Chase.
Lioness was good. Lioness was good.
I mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't. But I do love Zoe Saldana. So
it was good. It was good. I watch Evil. I love Evil, man. That show's so dumb.
I've heard great things about Evil.
Fucking love Evil, bro.
So as we're wrapping the conversation up, that's kind of what I want to get into. We've talked about the business. We talked about kind of the issues with streaming, but we love to show love on Listen Up Nerds. Guys, what are some streaming shows that you think are underappreciated that you want to recommend to people to watch?
Such a good question.
I'll go first while you guys think.
All right, go ahead.
So I really sincerely think Apple Plus is the best like streaming service there is as far as original content.
Yeah.
They're in a unique position where they're so independently wealthy from like their content that they can
Right.
pretty much just throw infinite amounts of money at it.
And
And
There's
they'll
a
try
lot of
anything.
cool shit on Apple TV that I actually want to see. Like some of them witches shows and the fucking vampire shows are like right up my alley. I just got to find the time to watch them. Like I'm down.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to slide
They
right
have
into
so
Apple
much
TV.
money. They're in the Amazon space where it's like as a company they just generate so much money that they can do whatever they want. And a lot of the stuff that they choose to do and choose to greenlight is really phenomenal. One thing that I would suggest, I'm a big history fan. My wife Lisa often gets mad at me because she's like, "Why are we falling asleep to World War II and Hitler again?" And I'm just like, I can't get enough. This is like a bad environment to be like, I can't get enough of Hitler. I don't want that to be taken out of context. I can't get enough of World War II documentaries.
There we go.
I just want to be clear.
Got you. We got you, JP.
But I'm a big fan of history. I'm a big fan of alternate history. I love alternate history, the what ifs. I highly recommend the Apple TV show that I've just now forgotten.
The Man in High Castle.
Joel Kinnaman.
Joel Kinnaman. It's
I know what you're talking about. It's the one about the astronauts.
yes, where Russia wins the space race.
Oh shit.
Russia wins the space race.
Isn't it like For All Mankind?
For All Mankind. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, Chase.
Okay.
For All Mankind. It's done by Ron Moore, who
yeah.
we love around
yeah.
here.
Love Ron
Creator
Moore.
of
Yeah.
Star Galactica 2004.
Let's go.
One of the best shows ever. And if it's not on your top 25 of the last 25 years, your list is invalid.
If it's not in your top 10, your list is fucking invalid. Your JB's
list
being
is
generous.
Invalid. Okay. But Ron Moore created this alternate history show, and like great cast. Just a really fun concept that's done really well. Yeah, I would encourage people to check it out. It has a 4th season coming out, I think later this year in November. So I would recommend For All Mankind and also Silo. If you like sci-fi, you like dystopias, you might like Silo.
Silo is good.
Both of those are on Apple Plus, by the way.
Good books, by the way. That was a good book by I don't remember who.
Yeah, I haven't read the book.
Yeah, the book was good.
I'll give one as well off. I'll give two. I'll give one from Apple Plus, and that was Sugar. And Sugar stars Colin Farrell from The Penguin most recently. But it's a really interesting kind of noir detective mystery, and then it has a really big twist. There's like a huge like game-changing twist that was really cool and unexpected. So I recommend that series. Really well shot, really pretty show to look at. And then also the series on Peacock, Poker Face, starring Natasha Lyonne. It's about to return for a 2nd season with a bunch of really fun guest stars. It is kind of like calling it a procedural seems unfair, but it's kind of like in the same vein as like a Monk or a Psych type series. But it's super fun. Highly recommend that one as well.
That's what's up.
Nice. Yeah, she has the power of this isn't a spoiler. You'll see it in the trailer if you watch it. You can't lie to her.
Ooh.
Yeah,
she's like kind of like Columbo. That's pretty much what it is Columbo.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
But I love Columbo.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give love to Paramount Plus. I'm gonna say if you haven't seen Star Trek Discovery, you need to. If you should also watch just watch Evil. Like if you haven't sat down to watch Evil, like just do it. Just do it and do it for the fun of it.
Oh.
Yeah,
So fun.
it's just fun. Like y'all, it's literally just fun. The plot gets lost so many fucking times and you don't care because it's fun. Like it's like a not even a ghost hunt. It's like a paranormal procedural that tries to have
I love it.
like a plot and just gets lost and then just leans into how fucking ridiculous it is. And the guy from
how ridiculous it is and how sexy.
Yeah. Oh, it's
two
so
leads are.
yeah. The two leads are
Like,
so sexy. Yeah.
so
Like if
good.
you think Luke Cage is sexy, that's all you need to know. Just go watch it. And then the guy
Is that
yeah, Luke Cage is Luke Cage is fucking in it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mike
I did not
Coulter.
know that
Mike,
who's in that?
our man Mike's is in it, and he's a priest who's trying not to have sex. And
I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch.
Just he needs to bang.
I love
and
it.
oh no, it's so good. And then there's like demons and ghosts and a sassy nun, and like the guy from Person of Interest is like the villain who's talking to the fucking devil, and George, my homie, is the demon. I'll shout out to George the demon. So it's it's just y'all. It's like what we loved about TV before. So just fuck it. You know what, babe? We need to fucking finish Evil. By the way, that's just I love Evil. Evil's so good. Lioness is great if you just want like that it's like it's kind of like got that Jack Ryan vibe, but it's angrier. Like season 2 of Lioness was just angry. Like the angry dialogue. It's just sharp, angry dialogue the whole fucking time is like fucking great. A little bit of transphobia from like in one scene, just warning people you will suddenly no longer like her husband anymore. But other than that, it's a really good show. That was a stupid ass scene. But other than that, yeah, so some love to Paramount Plus. There's some good shit over on Paramount Plus. Check it out. If you have Apple TV and you have not seen The Gorge, you need to watch it. It is not a TV show, but it is like my new favorite comfort movie that I have seen, like, not even lying, like 10 times. I just put it on now when I want to feel good about things.
Fun movie.
It's just a
little fun movie.
There's nothing
it's like a
wrong with
rom-com.
it. It literally is. Like
with monsters.
It's a rom-com with monsters. It literally is.
I haven't seen it yet, but it is on my list, so I look forward to watching that.
100% like a fun little date night movie that has like fun action scenes and a good plot, and it literally is. It's great. 2 sexy ass leads in it. It's done by it's like our favorite director. One of our favorite directors did it. What's his name?
Yeah,
JB?
Derrickson, right?
Yeah, Derrickson.
Derrickson.
Scott Derrickson did it. So I'm just like, what the fuck? But yeah. So see, even my wife says Mike Coulter could do unholy things to her, and I can't be mad. Like that's her one. Like she can like if she like absolutely if she told me that, hey babe, I'm going out with Mike Coulter, what I'm gonna say? No. Okay, babe, have a great time.
That's Luke Cage.
Yeah, you just kind of have to accept it.
You have to, right? You just have to be okay with that. So, yeah.
Nice. Shout out Oscar. He recommends School Spirits on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Which is one that I have in my queue. I think that one's about a girl who dies in her high school and she can't leave until she solves her murder.
Yeah, that looks fun. I keep meaning to watch that.
So, that looks really fun, and also a show that Oscar told me to watch like 2 years ago, and I tried to watch it, and for some reason it was only in Spanish without subtitles.
Oh no!
And but that's not what it's filmed in. Our Flag Means Death. Max, I think it has
so good.
Everybody says that's good. Great. I've got to watch it. All I hear is amazing things about it.
It is the gay pirate show I never knew I needed, but it is everything.
You had me at gay pirate show. Now I'm in.
Yeah.
Now I'm in.
Yeah.
Now
I'm
in. You said,
so good.
You said gay pirates. Now I have to watch it. I'm obligated. I'm going to lose my gay card if I don't watch it now.
Right. It'll be revoked.
I know.
I want to recommend one more show. Speaking of gay cards, and I don't want you guys to lose them. Interview with a Vampire.
I need to see that. Yes, because listen, we grew up on the Anne Rice books. We grew up on that shit. So yeah.
There you go.
It's on AMC Plus, but you can watch the first season right now on Netflix, I believe. Such a fun show. Really, really good. A really sort of different take. If you've seen the original Interview with a Vampire movie based on the Anne Rice books, I think you will like this. If you haven't, it's a great place to jump in. Just really, really cool. Really sexy. Very fun. Very bloody.
Can't wait.
I would definitely encourage that. So guys, we are wrapping up. We're sometimes podcast. We don't know when we're gonna be back. We'll be back when we want to talk some shit. You know,
Well, thank
we
you
know we have
guys.
some stuff.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on.
Chase,
Always welcome.
Yeah.
tell us, where can people find you?
So I am posting some of my songs that I've written on my Instagram page, The Cowboy Baby. I also have a TikTok, same username, The Cowboy Baby. So I'll be posting some of my songs and then some country covers of some other songs. So stay tuned for that.
They are so good. I'm not just saying that because I love you. They are really, really good.
Let's
Thanks, man.
go. Let's go.
Crystal, what's going on? I know you're in the lab. I know you're working.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of fun on episode 7. Tell us what's going on. What can we expect?
We are CD Project Red over here. Episode 7 will be done when it's done, but we're cooking in the kitchen. So if you want a sneak peek, you should support the Tales of the Forgotten Fiction Network. TalesOfTheForgottenFictionNetwork.com is where you find us making audio dramas. We've got a lot of good shit for y'all. If y'all actually want some adult sexy Star Wars, go listen to Legacy of Star Wars audio drama. It was our very first one. It's done. There's 22 episodes.
Ooh.
It is an adult.
And again,
Star-
Crystal, I have a story I need to pitch to you, and
Let's
we might
go.
need a collab on.
All right.
So
All right, I'm down. I'm down.
It's Star Wars, gay and sexy. So
Let's
I just want to
go.
say, like, I love these people. These people are my very, very, I wouldn't even say great friends. When I tell you they're talented beyond belief, please listen to me and believe me. They're talented beyond belief. Legacy is my favorite Star Wars thing. It's just like right up my alley. It's just great. Listen to it, love it. Hashtag make it into a movie. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. Yeah, just do it.
Oh, one more quick plug. If anyone's around the San Antonio area, I will be playing my first show ever at a free event in Bandera, Texas.
Let's go.
You can find the flyer on my Instagram or on the Bandera, Texas website.
Let's fucking go.
But yeah, that'll be this Sunday night.
Love that.
Nice. And y'all, I'm around. I'm still on Twitter. I hate it there, but Black Twitter sustains me. Black Wrestling Twitter sustains me. You can find me at JV the Monster. I don't post, so I mean, you can go there and you can DM me if you want. Other than that, I don't really have anything to plug. I'm in Crystal shit. Can listen to me there. And guys, thanks so much. Chase, thank you so much for being
Oh my gosh.
here.
Thank you guys for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah, man. We gotta have you back. Until
Anytime.
then, guys, continue to listen up, have fun, and love the things you love.
Yes,
Love
and be
the
loud
art
with your
you
love.
Yes.
So
Love the
fucking
art you
loud.
love the movies you love, the video games you love the people you love, especially now. You need it more than ever. We will see you next time. Peace.